Hello and welcome. Let's take a look on declarative actions in configurable workspace. First, let's create a new workspace. If you already know how to do that, you can skip this section. Otherwise, open the App Engine Studio and first create the application. Let's call it DA workspace for declarative actions. We don't need any rows for our tutorial, and let's wait a second. So our application is created. So we have right now our application, and let's create the workspace itself. We can keep the name and rows for our purpose. We can work with admin. Here, this is the primary table, the task. This is the the table of all tables, and let's put the interaction there. If you wanted to start with incident, it's not possible here because incident is the child table of the task. So let's keep task there and let's change it later. Again, it will take a couple of seconds, so let's wait. And here we go. Let's observe. Let's open UI Builder. It's still loading, so let's wait. And our workspace will be the last one, this one. So this is it. We have our own workspace and we can start working on it. Now we need to do some basic setup so we can implement our declarative actions. So let's first open the workspace itself. So first you can see that new task, a new interaction is there. This is what we filled up during creating the workspace. And let's wait. And we are going to create new buttons there on the form, new buttons on the rated lists. But first, we need to do some basic setup. So open experiences, and you will find your experience there in the list. This is our experience. Let's open it. You can see this workspace app shell. And as soon as all rated lists are loaded, you can see that UX page properties, there are several records, and we will need actionConfigId and viewRuleConfigId. viewRuleConfigId is not there, so we need to create one, but actionConfigId is already there. This is the base configuration for our actions or form and list and field decorators. This is the table, say UX Action Config, and we will need to put its sysid there. So let's open the table and let's create new record there. We need to put a name, and that's all for the configuration. We just need the sysid, and you can see there are rated lists that we will be putting our buttons there. So sysid, put it in the value, And now we have base configuration for our buttons. We will use it later. So now nothing is going on. We didn't put any button there yet. Now again, let's open our experience, and we need one more UX page property, and this is for form. So let's create it. It's going to be viewRuleConfigId, and this is the table for it. I put it in the description just for you. You don't have to like put it in the description in your own implementation, of course. So let's create a new record. And this is where we are going to implement view rules. So what view should be applied for us for what table? And again, we put the sys_id of it there. One more thing, we would like to be able to create new incident instead of new task upon clicking on the plus there. So let's open Chrome tab, and we would like to just change the task to incident. Let's edit here so it's more readable. It will be new incident, and the table will be new incident. Copy paste and put it in the value there. Let's refresh the page, and new incident and new interaction should be there. Good. Now we are ready to configure our form and buttons. So on the backend, go to the view, and let's create new one, because this will be our view for our workspace and for the incident. Let's create new view. Let's call it DA workspace incident. And let's just make some changes there so we are sure that our view was applied. And yes, let's put it away. And we will need work nodes and activities for the workspace as well, but maybe remove them. Let's remove them right now. Let's save. So this is our view. It's ugly now, but it's only for testing purposes, so it's okay. And let's remove the related lists as well. You can see that the view was already applied, but I didn't put it into configuration. I don't know why. Maybe the workspace takes the last one. I don't know. Anyway, the good approach or the correct approach is, as soon as you create a view, you need to create view rule for it. I don't know why. Maybe there's some like new hidden feature of Washington. Anyway, let's go to the configuration. If you don't know the roads there, so it's again through the experiences, viewRuleConfigId, and sysid of the viewRuleConfig we created. And now we need to add the rule for our incident table. So our workspace will use our view for the incident. This is it. And that's all. Right now, our workspace will use DA workspace incident view for incident tables. Simple as that. Maybe you noticed that there are work nodes missing, and that's why we didn't put them on the form layout as well. So right now, I'm just putting it on the form, so the work nodes or the activities will appear on the form as well. There is one more thing missing, and those are related lists, because we will be able to put buttons on form and even on related lists. So let's create two related lists for the incident table. Yeah, and let's copy this incidents by same color. I can rename it by double click thanks to SN utils. So this will be incident and incident related list, and let's create one more for interaction. The field there is open for, and yes, let's call it, again, that's for testing purposes, so we are sure what is the parent table and what is the child table. Where is our incident? Is here, and let's put those two related lists there. Good, they are there. Let's create some testing records. And let's create more. And finally, let's create form server action. the purpose of declarative actions is that you don't need to touch anything in the UI builder. Of course, you will need some references like the ID of the action bar or this ID of the record, but you don't have to touch the UI builder itself. Nothing like component tree and putting some components inside. Everything will be done on the backend, except of course the events. So let's create right now the form action. You can see there is a module declarative actions. So you need to pick the correct one. In our case, it's form actions. You can see Washington like automatically creates the action name for you. And you can see you have three options: server script, client script, and the client action. So right now let's create the server script for incident and for our view. Let's save it and let's open the advanced view. This is the section for conditions, and this you can like add the configuration settings. If you go to the workspace and refresh it, your button won't be there because it exists, but it's not connected to the layout. So we need to go to action configs. We create it during the setup, and we need to add our declarative action to the layout for the incident. Let's open our configuration. And we need to create new actions layout for incidents table. And then we need to put our action to the item of the layout. So let's create the layout first. Let's save it. And now you can see, again, it's probably Washington feature. There are some action layout items automatically created for you. So when you go to your workspace and refresh it, you will notice new buttons appear there. That's because they were automatically created for you here. Now we want our button to appear there. So let's click on new and we will create new action layout item. Again, let's name it properly. The action type will stay action, and now we need to first state the table. And now let's find our declarative action. By default, you will see only names. I like to have even more columns like created and created by, so it's up to you. I always want to be able to sort properly. And yes, this is our action, so let's select it and let's save it. So now our declarative action is connected to our layout for incident. So our action should be there, is there, and I switched the label and name obviously, so I need to change it. Okay, and let's refresh again. And here we go. And our action does nothing right now because we didn't implement any logic there, so let's change it. On server actions, you can use current and parent in some cases. So current is reference to your record. So let's test, and it should change the short description after you click on it. And good, it's working fine. It's pretty easy to implement server action. Now, we would like to see the action only under certain conditions. We don't want to see it like all the time, right? So let's take a look how to do that. You can see conditions here, and you can like use several approaches. Right now I'm implementing the record condition for hello, so whether every time short description starts with hello, the action will appear. So let's test. Of course, I need to refresh again. So the action is not there. Let's put hello in the short description and save, and the action will appear. And again, let's delete, let's save, and the action disappears. Pretty cool, right? Like dynamic showing hiding. Or no, that's not cool at all, because you need to save the form, and we want to show and hide the action like dynamically, and that's why you should use the approach of client condition. You can see all those action model fields, they are available for you to use them in the conditions. So let's use it. You cannot use them in the server script or client script later on, but you can use them as references, real-time references in scripted client condition, for example, here. So let's test it. Let's use the fields reference. You need to put them in the, like this. And right now, every time the short description changes to hello, it will be dynamically showing and hiding the button for you. So let's observe. Of course, you need to leave the field, but this is how it works. Anyway, right now, this is what we wanted. The real world use case will be probably like reacting on some, for example, category here. So it won't be like checking the value of a text field, but for example, what was it? It was network. So the button will appear and disappear upon some selection, some select box. So let's test. So every time the category will be network, the button will be there. Let's test. And yes, so I believe this is like the real world example how buttons will appear and disappear. Now let's take a look on the form client actions. The approach is pretty much the same. So yes, our server action is working fine. The approach for client actions is pretty much the same. You just have the client script there, and of course the approach for coding for the client side. So let's take a look. Let's create new one. Let's call it client action, and it's client script, not the UXF client action. Again, we want it for the incident and for our view. And let's save it. And again, when you refresh your workspace, your action won't be there because you need to put it in the config. Don't forget it. So again, our layout for incident. And let's put our client action there. A little bit of copy pasting. And of course, the name is the first. The label, what the user sees, is the second field. Again, first select the table. And let's put our action there. Let's save. And now I'm going to refresh my workspace, and of course I made a mistake and I put wrong table there. So my action isn't visible, but we have SN utils, so I can double click basically and change the table. I don't know, I wouldn't do that like in real life because we don't know what is under the hood, but maybe it will work. So I just change the table, again put the action there, and now on our incident we should see the action there, and it's there. It does nothing right now, but it's there. Let's change the behavior. What is happening after you click on the action? Let's test simple alert. It should work. There's no reason for it not to work. All right, so our client declarative action is working fine. Of course, we are on the client, so we have access to GForm, for example. So let's test it. Let's save. And let's test. I am right now changing the value of description, and I would expect that the workspace will notice that my data changed on the form, but apparently it's not detecting. I mean, the description has changed, but if you know the workspace behavior, there should be like dot for changing the values on the form. You see? So maybe there is a bug on Washington, I don't know. I would expect that workspace will detect my changes. Interesting. Anyway, right now we can even save the form, so my changes will be stored. Good. It's working fine. And of course, again, you can use the scripted client condition to dynamically hide the the button. So let's test. And it should appear. Yeah, it's there. So again, it's working fine. Now let's take a look on list server actions. Actually, it's not list, it's rated list server actions. It's important because we are on a related lists. So again, under declarative actions, select related list actions, and let's create one. We want to display the action on the incident related list, and under the view of our workspace incident, the view is related to the record itself, but the table here is related to the table on the related list or table of the related list. And again, don't forget to put your action in the config. This time it's going to be different tab. It's going to be related list actions. And we just simply add the declarative action assignment there. Again, that's me. I want to be able to sort properly because sometimes I don't remember the name of my action and I want to be sure. So yes, this is my action for the list. You can see even the rest of them. And this is it. So our action is there, and when I refresh my workspace, the action should be visible. Good, is there. Let's create some records so we have more rows in our related list table. Okay, one more. And yes, I don't recall in Vancouver you can click on Ctrl S or key combination and it saves the record. I didn't notice before. Of course on backend, but not in workspace. You can enforce that when you want to select some records in the related list, you need to check this record selection required. And right now, the current is each of the record in the related list. So right now, when you set, for example, short description, it will set the short description on all the records you checked in the related list. Let's observe. Again, we need to refresh our workspace. And right now, checkboxes are there. You can select multiple rows and you see short description is changed for all the rows you selected. Yeah, let's close those steps. And you see the action is not available when you didn't select anything. Again, you have access to some contextual variables, I would say. So for example, you can display the count or work with the count variable. That is the number of selected, how many records you selected. So let's take a look. I put a count in the label of the action. So you should see how many rows were checked. Each of the type of the declarative action has slightly different action model fields, because, for example, count is not available for a button on the form. There is no reason, there is no count, you know. And of course, you can use it even for displaying the action on the list. So client condition count is greater than, let's say, 0. So you need to check at least one row so the action actually appears. Let's confirm. Now our action is not there. Let's check, and our action is there. Good, it's working fine. And yes, of course, it works even with different number than 0. I don't know why I recorded this. Anyway, let's check. Now, maybe you want to update not the record on the rated list itself, but you want to update the parent record with something. And we can use the parent reference, not the current, but the parent. So let's update the record itself from the rated list button. And it's possible, just use the parent reference. I forgot to uncheck the record selection, so I need right now to select something in the rated list, but it's of course working even when you don't have to select anything. You see, I forgot to uncheck it. Anyway, it will work. Checking the row right now has no effect to updating the parent. There is one thing that might be confusing, and this is the table and the view combination on the action assignment for lists. So the table is for the rated list, and the view, this is the view of your parent record. So for example, when I change the table for interaction, my declarative action will appear on rated list for interaction table, but still it's valid for my view of on the record. So let's observe. Yeah, you can see for incidents my action disappeared, and let's take a look on list client actions. Again, go to related list actions and create one. Again, we need a label and action name. It's going to be client script, again for incident table, and again for our view. Let's save. And again, don't forget to put it in your config. This is our action. Let's put it there. And let's confirm. It will be on incident, and it's there. Let's check it's working fine. So again, basic alert. Let's refresh the workspace, and it's working fine. Now we would like to be able to select records in the related list. And of course, you would like to work with the information, what records you actually selected in the list. And of course, we are on the client and we are on the list, so we can use glist. So let's take a look on the getChecked function or method, and let's refresh. And right now, we should be able to see what these IDs were checked. And of course, you can use it like later on and work it like, for example, with Ajax or something like that. And of course, you have the access to the G-form as well. And the G-form is a reference to your record itself, to the parent. So we can access the fields there, and in this example, we can update it from the client button on the related list right away. Of course, G-form save, and now show description will be updated from the related list. I will check those three, and here we go, and you can see that it was updated. Yes, of course, you can like call Ajax and or other things through with it. Before we jump to firing events from actions to UI Builder, we need to make some preparations there, because we need some event to be able to call, right? So right now we need to do some homework in UI Builder itself. So let's go to UI Builder, to body, events, and let's create handled event. This is the event that could be called by anything, either from inside UI Builder or from the UI actions. So let's create handled event. You can name it like as you like, and let's put some payload fields there, label and message. So we will be able to transfer some information from the declarative action to our handled event. So let's add it. And now we need to implement what should happen after something calls our event. So let's implement the page event mappings. So let's add notification. So we don't care what calls our handled event, but every time this handled event is called, a notification appears on the workspace. This is just the form how it should look like when you want to initiate a notification via script. So items, this is the array of objects, and each object has got the type and the message. This time this is like only info, and the message will be constructed from the payload. Let's format it. So this event payload comes from the handled event. And now, just to be sure that everything is working fine, let's create a button. Of course, this is only for demonstration. You won't be creating any buttons in UI Builder just to create handled events. This is just for demonstration that our handled event is working fine. Now I can see a lot of presets, but we don't want any preset. Let's select some icon. We don't care right now. and let's implement the event. So every time the button icon is clicked, our handled event is called, and you can see that label and message needs to be filled as a payload. So let's save and let's observe. It should work. So clicking on the button again calls this handled event, and the button itself doesn't care more. It just calls the handled event. And now we just implemented that the handled event triggers the notification. And you see, it's working fine. It was pretty easy to implement. Now we want the button or declarative action to fire the event to the UI builder. So let's see. Let's create a form action for it, but we can fire the event even from other locations, like for example, field decorators. And let's create new record here. It's going to be implemented as UXF client action. This is how we fire events from declarative actions to UI builder. Or not UI builder, to the framework. UI builder is only like the front end, but again, I want to change the layout, so I want to see, or I want to be able to sort it. And there is no action payload definition yet, and we need to create one. So this is like creating a template for your payload. What payload will come from the button to the UI builder? So you are basically defining two things, the template and the default values. You need to state that it's applicable to form, because our action will be fired from form. And this payload field, this is what I was talking about. So this is the template and the default values. So let's put label, and it will be default value of the label property, and the same for message. Let's click on submit. And yes, let's save it here. Yeah, I just hate that ServiceNow always sends me to the last page I visited. So again, let's open the UXF Action. And our payload is there. And you see, this is default payload, but you can override it here. We will see it later. Again, don't forget to put it in your config. It won't work otherwise. Where is it? Here, this is our action config. And let's put on incident action layouts. Again, name and label. Let's select again the incident table, and let's find our action. This is it. So right now, our action should appear on the form, but it will do nothing because there is no mapping yet. Good, our action is there. sitting there doing nothing. Let's go back, and now we will need some information from UI Builder, because we want the action to call our event to our handled event, and that's why we need to create a mapping for it. And this is done through UX add-on event mapping, and there are some fields that needs to be filled. You can see source declarative action is already filled in, so it's okay. Right now we need this ID of our record page, because this is our parent macro component we are on. So let's copy this ID and let's put it in the parent macro component. So we are sure that this record default is ours. Sometimes you need to do it twice. I don't know why, but right now we are there. The target event, this is our handled event. You see it there, here. And source element ID, this is where our event is firing from. And in our case, that's the action bar. So it's UI action bar. And yes, payload mapping. This is what you need to memorize, how to construct. But this is the structure, and you just state the fields there. So take a look. It's type in container, properties of the object, and in the container there are your fields, label and message in our case. Let's put the event mapping name there. It should be everything all right. The structure looks all right. So let's save, and let's just check that everything is fine. It looks fine. Mapping is there, so our mapping is correctly linked to our declarative action. So right now, when you go to the workspace, it will not work because the cache is everywhere, and even hard reload of your browser doesn't do anything. You need to just let's see. Our action is there, but nothing is happening when you click on it. Even your configuration is completely fine. First thing you can do is like the troubleshoot to add the configuration required checkbox, so you are sure that your action itself is working fine. Let's check it. Let's go to the workspace, and right now when you click on the action, you should notice the confirm dialog. Here we go, but still nothing is happening, and that's why you need to go and clear the instance cache.do, and that's the magic. After I refresh my workspace, it will work. So every time something isn't working for you, most of the time, most of the time it's you, but sometimes it's a cache. Right now it will work. Good. So we just fired the event from the declarative action to the UI builder, and of course you can like override the template of the payload. Again, you can use any action model fields here. So let's use some value from the form. But sending value from the form, I mean, you can access in the UI builder, you can access the data resource record fields form. So, but just for demonstration purposes, you can do that even from here. On the other hand, when you want to create some like generic implementation on the UI Builder page, you need to be able to send data from the button itself to the UI Builder where there is some like generic implementation created. So right now you can see that it's working pretty fine. So we just fired the event from the declarative action to the UI Builder. What can be slightly confusing, this is the JSON properties of the payload, because our properties are named as same as UI Builder. So when we take a look, we don't know what is on the left side and on the right side. Left side is the UI Builder or our declarative action. You know, when we take a look on the handled event. So let's create a new one. Let's create one more handled event. Number 2, and let's add properties that are with different names. The keys will be different than our keys in declarative action. So we are sure what is on the left side and what is on the right side. Again, for demonstration purposes. So some label, some message, we can edit there. And again, let's just copy paste the notification and our handled event here. Okay, so let's put in the script, and this time it will be some label and some message, because those are the properties of our second handled event. Again, for testing purposes, let's create a button so we are sure that even our second handled event is working fine. Again, we don't want any presets there, and yeah, let's go like this, and we are calling our handled event number 2. Let's save and let's test. It's working, but why is undefined there? What's the reason for that? I'm defining the label there, so it's okay. And on the event, it's fine as well. So let's take a look on the handled event. Why is some label? I'm pretty sure that I save it with some underscore label. Actually, it's recording. We can take a look later. I'm pretty sure I save it like this. Anyway. Let's test. And of course, it will not work again because I changed the key. So I need to update it again in my mapping of the action. So some label is correctly here, but I need to make the update not here, but on the button itself, because I changed the key, of course. Not the bug, the feature. Okay. So right now, it must work. There's no other way. Good, it's working fine. So right now, let's change the event of the mapping to event number 2. And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know what is on the left side. Maybe the key on the UI builder, maybe the key on the declarative action. Let's see, I don't know. So let's keep it like this. Let's keep it like this and let's save. What just happened? What just happened? Record not found. Why? Why? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's put it from the very beginning. So we want to take a look on our action, on our UXF action, and I was updating the mapping, right? Why is okay? So I'm on the action. I need to go to advanced view. Yeah, I need to go to advanced view to see the related list. Okay. And why the mapping disappeared? Why is not there? I just changed the action. Let's take a look whether it's there or it was deleted completely. Okay, now I'm surprised, but maybe there is a reason for it. Okay, so I need to create a mapping again for my second map. Yeah, so I just skipped and put it just so you just don't need to wait for me to do it again. So right now I am mapping to the second handled event, and everything is undefined. That's fine because our keys on the UI builder side are different. So right now let's check what will be on the left side. On UI builder we have some underscore label. So where will be? And on our UI action we have only label, right? Maybe let's see again, so just to see the context. So yeah, I need to open it. Double click with SN Utils will open this record in a new tab. Thank you. And let's wait. So our payload definition works with label and message, and our UI builder works with some underscore label and some underscore message. So let's put the UI builder on the left side. Again, don't forget to clear your cache. It won't work otherwise. Let's refresh the workspace. And it should work, and at least one message should be okay. Alright, so the UI builder key is on the left side. So this is the key on the UI builder side. And this is the key on your action payload definition. Good, that's pretty important for the correct mapping. So let's update even the message here, so some underscore message, and it should work fine. Again, the cache. And let's refresh the workspace. and it should work. Now let's take a look on the field decorators. This is another place where you can place the declarative actions. So we have server actions, we have UXF actions, we have list, server and client actions. Everything is working fine, and you can place some buttons or icons even there. Let's take a look how to do that. Again, go to declarative actions and this time select field decorators. And again, you can do the same thing as with standard buttons. So you can perform client action or client script, server script, or fire event to the UI builder. So right now, let's create maybe server script. Okay, let's first take the incident table. Again, select the view, and you have the option to put it in the field type or the specific field. So let's put it on the specific field. Let's put it on the short description. You have to select the icon, and there are like lots of icons for you. You can select, so let's pick some icon here, maybe this one. And okay, let's do the client script. It doesn't matter. Again, for testing, let's put alert there. So when you click on the field decorator, the alert will appear, and don't forget to put it in your config. But maybe I think the field decorator maybe will appear there even without the config. So let's put it there. This is our field decorator record. And let's take a look on the workspace. It should be there on the short description, and it's there. And when you click on it, the alert will appear. That's pretty simple to implement field decorators. And of course, we are on the client, so we can use gform again. Yeah, so maybe let's only take the color ID here, and let's put it in the alert so we know that it's working fine. Good. And again, when you go to advanced view, you can play with the dynamic conditions to dynamically show and hide the field decorator. So again, let's test it. And there are two approaches. First approach, you can see again action model fields. Those are the context fields of the field itself. So you can grab any field from the form itself, even the same field, of course. So let's test it. Show me field deco should trigger showing or appearing the field decorator on the field. And now I need to, okay, on the field. and of course it will disappear. And you have second option. You can use the value itself, because value of the field come with the context of the field, and that's logical. So you can just use the value here and it will work. Good, it's working fine. And there is one trick you can use as well. You can use the value itself and use, for example, stars with. And it will work even better, so you don't compare the concrete value. Let's test. Let's refresh the workspace and it should work. It's working fine. And what to do with it? We can even, like, of course, update the G-form with everything. So let's take a look. It will take the real-time value. So yeah, let's reload first. We are on the client, so it will take the real-time value. So you can see that whatever I need to start with show. Whatever I put there, it's real-time value. So I can even like update the form afterwards. Again, I'm just showing the basic operations there. You can like do whatever you want with your client scripting. Let's put it like this, and it will update the form with no problems. Good, it's working fine. But if you want to like ask the user for some input, because you don't want to work only with the fields on the form itself, so you want to ask for some information before you proceed. And because we are on the client side, we can use Gmodal. So this is very simple demonstration how you can use Gmodal to ask for some input from the user. So in the show fields, there is basic setup of the modal. So in fields, this is the array of objects. So in the title, let's put like tell me something. We want to ask for submission. And in the fields, let's just put standard string input. Nothing complicated right now. And let's make it mandatory. Okay, just let's alert it for this time. So right now, when you click on the field decorator, Modal should appear. So let's see. Good. And when you click on submit, you will see how the response look like. This is the response. And again, you can like work with the response according to your needs. I will put it here. And we can again update our form, for example. So let's construct the message. It's going to be fields, updated fields, the first element in the array, and the value. This is the value of the message. And let's update the description. And of course, you need to be inside the callback. Let's test it. It should work. And it's working fine. And of course, we are in the scoped application, so we can use ES6 approach. So we can even like destruct the object here. So just let's take a look. Yes, this is the ES6 approach here. Yeah, there is one typo, and this is it. So those were the declarative actions. It's pretty easy to implement them as soon as you like learn the proper approach where everything is stored and how everything is connected. So I hope it will help you guys with implementing your declarative actions, and thank you for watching.